Hey guys, so in this video I'm going over the checklists that I used when I worked at Amazon to launch tens of thousands of new products on Amazon Vendor Central. So without further ado, the first step is you want to sort out the commercials for your products. So the cost price, the selling price, and the profitability. Just make sure it's profitable for everyone involved. And this really depends on how closely a relationship you have with your vendor manager. You might want to submit it to them and to gain their approval before listing the product. But you should really kind of sort this out, 1 to 2 months before the product launch date, or ideally even a bit longer than that to give yourself some leeway. So after you've sorted out the commercials, the profitability, net PPM, cost prices, the ordering quantities, you then want to actually create the products, the ASINs, the barcode, SKU, just gather that for your products and then create them on Vendor Central. I suggest doing this 4 weeks before launch. And then after that, you want to optimize the product pages for SEO. So you want to fill out the titles of your products, the bullet points, as you're creating that detailed page. Make sure it's comprehensive. It gives you a lot of information about the product, features, benefits, any advantages over competing products. So you want to make sure you flesh that out and your product page is updated with that. The other things you want to add to your product page is potentially a new version widget. If you're launching a new version of one of your existing products, you want to make use of a new version widget to drive traffic from the old product to the new product. And so you really should be doing this about a month or so before you want the product page to go live. Allocate the product to the correct browse node. So this is obviously very important for new products. Make sure it's allocated to the correct browse nodes, leaf nodes, and that way there's a higher chance that customers will discover your new product. Following that, images, A+ content, you should already have this designed, and then it's just a matter of adding the images to the product page. You should maximize the number of images that you're adding, 7 per product page, and then also A+ content modules. Make sure that you've maximized the number of A+ content modules that you can for each of the products. So this really, you're doing 3 to 4 weeks before your anticipated launch date. Then it's worth checking that the byline of your data of your product page is linked to your brand store. If it's a new brand that you're launching, you want to create a brand store for that brand at this stage, and then just make sure that you've actually added these new products to your storefront. And then this you should be doing 3 to 4 weeks before launch. Proof detail page, step 8, is just to make sure that the detail page makes sense. No spelling or grammar mistakes. It reads clearly and is correct. And so at this point, you've got your your detail page should be ready. So the merchandising, the A+ content modules, all that should be sorted. It should be. Yeah, it should look good. Customers should be able to buy the products, read as much information about the products as they can, and so it should be quite clear in terms of the layout of the detail page. And so at this point, you've got 1 to 2 weeks prior to launch. The next step, the next phase, is to actually get the inventory into Amazon's fulfillment center, because until you've done that, the product won't be viable. So this is step 9. You want to get Amazon to raise a purchase order. Potentially also, if you're setting the product up with direct fulfillment, then you obviously don't need to wait for them to raise the purchase order, so you save a bit of time there. But for most cases, you need to get Amazon to raise the purchase order. And so I recommend leaving a bit of time for this. Keep in mind that it also takes, anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 weeks, depending on the time of year, for Amazon to actually inbound the product into their fulfillment center, to scan it and to receive it. So you just want to make sure you've left some time for that. But basically here, you need Amazon to raise the purchase order. There's 2 main ways to kind of do that. First is if you have access to Born to Run, this will be a savior. And so you can just submit an offer for the new products at the given quantity, and then Amazon will raise the PO, and then you wait, those 2-3 weeks for Amazon to inbound that purchase order. If you do not have access to Born to Run, a bit more manual, but you can just purchase the product from the detail page, and then that will trigger Amazon to raise a purchase order for you. But this step is probably, I would just make sure to leave some time for this, because you're kind of waiting a bit here. It's a bit out of your control in terms of the purchase orders. Potential issues that may arise is like Born to Run doesn't work, or it takes Amazon longer to order the product, or the product doesn't fit into the warehouse. So I would just kind of give a bit more time for this step. But basically, once you've raised the purchase order, you then want to wait until Amazon actually receive it, scan the product in. At that point, the product should be buyable, and that's your, 0. That's week 0. Product is buyable, customers can buy it, and you're good to go. What I like to do at this stage is I like to place a test customer order, just to actually go through the process and to get a unit shipped to my house from Amazon's fulfillment center, just to make sure the product's packaged correctly, it's set up correctly, and there's, it's all, the customer journeys as you like it to be. So after you've placed a test customer order, assuming everything's good, you're happy, then the next step is to really just drive sales and traffic. And so this is where you need an Amazon advertising and promotional strategy. And this really, you should start pretty quickly once the product is in stock. Maybe, week 1, and really it continues indefinitely. Depending on, again, your promotional and your advertising strategy that you've worked out. At the same time, once the product is in stock, you can begin kind of more marketing, potentially reaching out, to influence associates and any other kind of programs to drive traffic and sales for your products. And that concludes the 12-step framework. At this point, your products should be selling quite well, and this is where you kind of see that virtuous cycle in customers repeat ordering, and then that driving organic sales rank, and at this point, really kind of your product really starts to pick up and fly. So that concludes it. Let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to subscribe and leave a comment if you do have questions. But otherwise, have a great day.